Hi guys, so today I want to talk about how I attained my non-teaching job. So prior to coming to Korea, I started applying for jobs about 6 months in advance, and I started looking at all the required paperwork during that time as well, just because I know it takes a long time to get all your paperwork by the time you're leaving. But what I ended up doing was, since I had recently graduated with my continuing education, I did work with the school to try to see if they could help me and be of some assistance in finding jobs abroad. But ultimately, I ended up being successful on my own. And this is what I did. The first thing that I did is I took every approach like everyone does, where you set up job search agents and you're applying like mad and you're just sending out your resume hoping that something will land. So yes, I did take that approach. LinkedIn, Craigslist, Work and Play, many different websites. And then from there on, I noticed that I wasn't having that much success. So I did reach out to the college I went to school with and worked with their career services, and they told me that they would be obliged to help in my search. But they did give me some advice. And so what I did is, as an alumni, I started going on LinkedIn and searching for alumni in Korea, as well as people just looking for alumni within the last 5 or 10 years, and then I would find who was living in Korea at that time. So I found about 4 pages of people, and so I started individually messaging them all. Now, I didn't have an upgraded LinkedIn, so you can only email or message so many people. So I tried to also friend them first, so that way if we became friends on LinkedIn or or shared contacts rather, then I would be able to message them without having to obtain the limit, which I think is about 33 messages you can send per month. So I took that route. I sent emails to people that would say, "Hi, I'm a recent alum. I really like the school. I really enjoyed my experience. By chance, I'm looking to move to Korea. Do you know of anything? Do you know of anyone? These are my skill sets." And you have to be pretty implicit that you don't speak Korean up front, because most people would expect that if you're going to move to a foreign country, you would speak Korean. And second of all, I did get some responses right away, which was really nice. However, they would recommend, I recommend you teach English, because that's what a lot of people do. But I did not want to teach English because, one, I just recently graduated, so I want to do something as close as possible to my field, and two, because it's just not something I'm not very passionate about teaching English. I've been around English so much. I've watched a lot of different videos about how it can get really monotonous, how you're basically having to perform and act all the time, and how you don't necessarily have a lot of control of what you do. So I knew going into my job search that really was not an option for me, and I would do everything in my power to obtain a position where I did not have to teach English. And so I was very picky in looking for jobs. So I continued that front by reaching out to alumni and waiting for responses. The other thing that I did is I used LinkedIn really heavily, and I started sourcing people who are in the same field as me. So my background is in human resources, so I started typing in human resources Korea, and also I didn't really know where I wanted to live. I knew that my family was transitioning. My parents and everyone was in Seoul, but my parents were going to be moving to Pohang, and my sister is really hard to really meet with that much because she's in the military and she is only available during certain times. And then my younger sister, my twin, is in a different region. So everyone's kind of geographically spread around. So with that being said, I did try to reach out to ask them, where do you think I should look for jobs? So naturally I looked in Seoul because both my sisters live in Seoul. However, Seoul is huge, and if I started really picking one area and really trying just to get in that one area, then I also realized that I was really limiting myself from getting a job in Korea. So I continued to just send in messages to different professionals in human resource field in Korea, and some people said, recommended English, or that they would look out for me or just keep an eye out for me. So that was really comforting, and sometimes you just want someone to just respond, because I sent out probably 70 messages, And by this time, I was personalizing them. However, you later just shift to having a template where you just insert their name, and it makes it really easy, and that's what I ended up doing. But I would definitely recommend taking some time, looking at the person's profile, and sending as personal a message as possible. So that front dried up quickly, and after I think it's 33 messages you've sent, you have to wait till the following month to just send messages to people if you're not direct contacts with them. So that was frustrating, but in the meantime, I figured, given my situation, I wanted to go to Korea in the May-August time period, and so I needed to just make sure I looked at every avenue. So unfortunately, I did succumb to doing a couple interviews with Korea and a couple other interviews with teaching companies, but deep down, every time I did a Skype interview, I knew this is not what I wanted. And furthermore, they were really heavily asking me about my experience with kids in elementary school and how many kids I've worked with, and I just really was not, I knew I really just wasn't into it. So needless to say, I kind of gave up on that front and realized if I'm going to Korea, I might as well enjoy what I'm doing, and I really want my experience to be very valuable to me. So I basically decided I'm going to hang up this hat and really focus my energy on what I can control and just keep trying what I was doing. So finally, I was on Indeed and I saw a job posting for an assistant professor for human resources, economic, and business. And so I read the job description, and assistant professor, the job description seemed like something I could do. I could definitely, help with teaching. I could help with having office hours. These are subjects that I am pretty strong in. And so I said, why not send my resume? So I sent my resume, and it was just one in the bunch, right? Just click, done, sent. And then I got a response about a week later, for a Skype interview. And so I really was excited, and then I started having doubts about myself, and I almost canceled because I had another interview that same night, and that was for an English teaching company. But I really just felt maybe this isn't the right fit for me. I've never taught before, nor at a university level. I didn't mention that it was for a university level. And so finance and economics aren't my best subjects, but business, management, as well as human resources, I could do. So my husband, as such a great supporter as he is, he just convinced me, it's another interview, it's another experience for you. Why not just do it? You're going to be home anyways, so just do it and get the experience from it. So I'm not going to tell him that he's always right or anything like that, but it ended up working out well. And here's why. I had my interview. I did really well. I was myself. I was energetic. I told them basically about my story. If I could pull on heartstrings, if I could tell them that I'm a Korean adoptee, I want to go be with my family, I want to learn the language, I want to be in Korea, and I don't care how I get there, then I will do it. So it went really well. However, in the first 5 minutes, they did say, okay, well, you don't have any experience teaching, so you're not really qualified for this position. And I said, pretty much in my head, I was thinking, yes, I agree, I'm not. But they said, however, we know of our sister school who has a position opening for career development placement, and we would like to connect you with them and set up an interview. So I was thinking to myself, okay, this is awesome. I've never heard that this is even possible. And so I had the interview about a week later, and the interview was really friendly. Although they do ask you a lot of personal questions. Do you have kids? You don't have kids? Okay, why not? Do you want kids? Tell me about your parents. What about your husband? If he comes here, if he's not working, what is he gonna do? Basically, like, how much is your annual salary? How often do you bathe? I mean, seriously, they ask you so many personal questions that in the States, it would totally be, there'd be a lawsuit, but you just have to go with the flow and just act natural. So I answered the questions as honestly as possible, and they told me that they would let me know. So I realized that in Korea time, it's really on everyone else's time, and you just needed to just wait. But I did end up sending a message about a week later, just asking, following up on the status. I'm very eager and excited to learn more about you know, the position and how you thought of me as a candidate. So eventually, after I sent that email, I did receive a response later that they were very interested and did move forward with a contract. So I thought, okay, this is really unbelievable, but when you have the contract in your hand and you really have something that's totally legit and from a reputable school, then it really helps put everything at ease. It's just a matter of getting there. So I will tell you from my experience that Korea is very fast-paced. So what I mean by this is I came about almost a week early because I wanted to get settled into our apartment. My husband and I knew it was semi-furnished, but we wanted to make sure that there wasn't any stress getting settled prior to me starting. So I met with the director a couple times prior to starting, and my job changed from career development to another HR position, potentially to an admissions position. So there are 3 different positions on the table, and so I kept meeting with the director a couple times here and there. Ultimately, I ended up taking the admissions manager position with the university because that was the biggest need at the time. So I'm just saying you have to be flexible if you're wanting to come to Korea, and just know that this is common. Things change all the time here. So I can say that I'm going on my 3rd month in my position as admissions manager, and I'm very happy that I have survived. We're in a very, very busy season right now, and I am very thankful that I have a non-English teaching job. But I will say, in a lot of these different positions, don't be surprised if you get here and you find out, okay, yes, you have a core position, but because Korea wants to employ a foreigner, then you also have to teach at least 1 class, so the government can really legitimize having you there in that position. So I will be teaching diversity management, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. 1, because I can gain experience as a university professor, and 2, because I'll still have my other position. So even though I said I have a non-teaching job, I really meant I have a non-teaching English job. I'm only teaching 1 class a week, it's only for 3 hours, and I'm going to gain a lot of valuable experience. It's in a field that I'm very passionate about, and they actually allowed me to give my insight as to what I want to teach. So a few key things, just wrapping up, I would say about obtaining a non-teaching job is there's a lot of information out there that may make you feel down, like it's impossible, you can't do it if you don't know the language. Well, I'm definitely a good example of, if you really are motivated and if you really want something, you have to just keep going at it. My circumstance is very unique. It doesn't happen every day. However, I was someone that was always looking and someone that was always updating my resume and having an awareness of key things that potential recruiters were looking for. So I didn't always send the same resume. I did change it up depending on what job I was sending it to. You know, I did try all different types of things, like sending messages to people in my same professional network in human resources, to alumni, as well as trying to make connections. So I think that that's really the best takeaway. And also, you know, don't be shy if you get turned down. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was very helpful. And if you really like the content, please like and subscribe. But otherwise, take care. Bye.